Hey guys, welcome to my vlog channel, a channel that I have started so you can follow along in my journey into becoming a mortician. In this video, I will explain who I am, what I currently do, and why I came to the conclusion to be a mortician. First of all, my name is Lou. I am mother of a beautiful 9-year-old girl, a wife to a beautifully, wonderfully bearded husband, and a full-time cynic. I've gone to college previously. Back in 2002, I entered a field of study called radiologic technology, and while I enjoyed that, I left a few months prior to graduating because there were two things that I don't know, it wasn't for me. The two things were that I also noticed that they were flooding the market, that for whatever reason a lot of the local colleges were pushing for this profession, and in my class alone we had 30 plus people and all expected to graduate and pass the licensing test. And I was hard-pressed to see 30 people being hired past a per diem basis. While there's money in per diem, I don't know. The other thing that I guess kind of just made me tap out was dignity, or the lack of dignity. I live in Florida, so we have a lot of elderly. So I came in contact with them an awful lot, some in their last days. A number of them have very large and caring families, maybe care a little too much, and insisted on a battery of tests for their elderly, either grandpa or grandma. The doctors, would order these tests at either persuasion or, well, it's not going to kill grandpa, so they decided to do that, and they're not comfortable by any means, and only for them, in a lot of cases, to die a week or two later, after grandpa's 90th or whatever. And I believe in dignity in regards to death, that if you know that or to the best of your ability, know that your final days are coming, I feel that you should be able to die comfortably at home, surrounded by family, and not be poked and prodded in hopes to get those last few days, hours out of you. That people need to know when it's done, I guess. I found in a lot of cases that a lot of these families, a lot of the elderly in particular, did not have plans in regards around and their actual demise. And I feel that's very important. I understand that it is a scary subject and that many people do not want to talk about it and it's uncomfortable. While I can talk about it and I have my plans and things like that, it doesn't necessarily mean I want to die, just that I want those absolutes. I want to make sure that those things are taken care of and that they should be. These elderly men and women were poked and prodded, and they should have essentially died with the dignity that they lived. That you should plan for that. Make a will, a living will, advance directives, medical proxy, all those things. That if you absolutely plan for it, you should. You plan or prepare for a birth, you should also see death in the same care. This type of interaction with people unnerved me, and I wasn't comfortable with watching these people essentially just suffer and just be uncomfortable when you know that that's it. That's all there is. So I decided to leave that profession. But it wasn't for me. After leaving, though, I worked a number of odd things. I worked at a convenience store, I worked factory work, and I ultimately got hired at our local county jail in a civilian position known as a corrections technician. Highly successful because I still worked there more than 11 years later. In that time, about 9 years in, I got hired as a corrections. I got hired to the classification department, and I worked that for over a year, and a job opened up in our IT department, and summarily started working there. I was accepted to work there. I discovered that it was way out of my league, and that I was able to go back to the jail in my prior profession as a corrections technician. the classification clerk was since taken up, was since filled, so I had to go back to my prior. It bummed me out, to be sure, because no one likes to go backwards. You know, you expected bigger and better things, and then when you have to admit to yourself that this didn't work, and you have to go back, it's a little humbling, absolutely. So I decided that I wasn't going to sit around anymore, that I was going to go back to school, and I made a firm decision of what I was going to do, and that was a thing I revisited it from 13, and I was going to be a mortician. So I decided I was going to go to school for that. Earlier this week, I met with an academic advisor who, you know, was very cordial, very nice about it. Unfortunately, our local colleges do not offer the core classes for this profession. But what they do offer is some of the electives leading up to it. So once my transcripts come in, we'll cross-reference those, see what counts, see what doesn't count, and go from there. When it comes to the core classes, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. To say that I'm a little anxious when it comes to that is an understatement, because where am I going to go to school for that locally? So hopefully when that time comes that, you know, we'll be able to work something out. There are job opportunities in the area, and some do have a preference of people interested in mortuary science. So that sounds very promising, and I'll be looking to those in the coming weeks. I named my channel Dead in Training because I am professionally training to be dead someday, and I am also training to deal with the dead and process the dead. It may be some time before I'm officially enrolled, but I will be releasing videos every Friday leading up to, during, and even perhaps once it comes to fruition I get into the profession itself. So until then, live life to the fullest, and #FutureCorpse.